About to begin the auction.
All right. Let's settle down here and concentrate.
Our first item today will be a painting.
Taxi wasn't just a workplace comedy. It was a war zone. The star refused to show up sober. 2 cast members were sleeping together in secret, and one actor's meltdown got so violent, security banned him from the set. These are 20 secrets about taxis hidden for decades. Number 20. Andy Kaufman was never supposed to be a regular character.
Just a minute. There's only one thing you need in life and to make you happy.
When Taxi premiered on September 12th, 1978, Andy Kaufman's name wasn't in the opening credits. Latka Gravis, the bizarre foreign mechanic, was written as a 1-episode guest spot, a throwaway character who would appear, deliver some laughs, and disappear forever. But something unexpected happened during that first taping. Kaufman, already famous for his absurdist comedy and wrestling women on late-night television, showed up and completely transformed what was supposed to be a minor role. He invented an incomprehensible accent that sounded like no real language. He moved like an alien trying to understand human behavior. He made Latka so strange, so genuinely weird, that the live audience didn't know whether to laugh or be concerned. Producers watched the dailies and realized they'd accidentally stumbled onto something unique. Network executives were less convinced, arguing Kaufman was too bizarre for mainstream television, too unpredictable, too risky. They worried his avant-garde comedy persona would clash with Taxi's grounded, character-driven format. But James L. Brooks fought hard, recognizing that Kaufman brought an element of chaos the show needed to avoid becoming just another workplace sitcom. After weeks of negotiation, they offered Kaufman a recurring role, appearing in roughly half the episodes per season. Kaufman accepted reluctantly, viewing sitcoms as beneath his artistic vision, but needing the money to fund his experimental projects. It was a marriage of convenience that nobody expected to work, and for a while, it didn't. Number 19. Judd Hirsch. Busted threatened to quit every single season.
Cannot compete financially with the Brennans.
I'm not competing. I just feel like driving more since you walked out on me.
Oh, Tony, don't blame Brian.
Judd Hirsch played Alex Reiger, the compassionate heart of the Sunshine Cab Company, a failed lawyer turned taxi driver who'd given up on dreams but never on people. He was the show's moral center, the character everyone confided in, the one who held the garage together. Off camera, Hirsch was a nightmare. Every contract negotiation turned into warfare. Hirsch believed he was carrying the show on his back and deserved compensation that reflected his importance. He wasn't entirely wrong, but his method of negotiating was scorched earth. Before every season, Hirsch would announce he was done, finished, never coming back. Producers would panic, knowing Taxi couldn't survive without Alex. They'd offer more money, better terms, additional perks. Hirsch would reject everything, demanding even more. The standoffs lasted weeks, sometimes months, delaying production and throwing filming schedules into chaos. Other cast members grew to resent him, feeling Hirsch held the show hostage for personal gain. Danny DeVito particularly hated Hirsch's tactics, believing they showed disloyalty to the ensemble. But Hirsch didn't care about the ensemble. He knew his value and exploited it ruthlessly. By season 4, producers stopped being surprised by his threats, building delay time into production schedules to accommodate Hirsch's annual tantrum. He always came back, always got more money, and always started the same cycle the following year. It was exhausting, expensive, and completely effective because Hirsch understood leverage better than anyone else on set. Number 18. Tony Danza and Marilu Henner had a secret affair that nearly destroyed the show.
I have never felt so emotional in my life.
Tony Danza joined Taxi as a complete unknown, a former boxer with zero acting experience who'd been discovered in a gym. Marilu Henner was the only main female cast member, playing Elaine Nardo, a single mother working as a cab driver while pursuing her art gallery dreams. From the first table read, the chemistry between them was electric, not the professional kind, the sexual kind. Within weeks of filming, Danza and Henner were sleeping together, sneaking around, keeping their relationship secret from cast and crew. At first, it was exciting, forbidden, adding genuine heat to their on-screen interactions. But affairs in closed environments always implode, and this one detonated spectacularly. Henner wanted commitment. Danza wanted freedom. They'd fight in dressing rooms, their voices carrying through thin walls. They'd give each other silent treatment during rehearsals, forcing other actors to navigate awkward tension. Their on-screen chemistry, once the show's strength, became poisonous. As scenes between Tony and Elaine felt hostile, uncomfortable, nothing like the playful flirtation writers intended. Producers noticed but couldn't prove anything, just sensed something wrong. The affair ended badly in season 2, with Henner devastated and Danza already pursuing other women. For the rest of the series, they barely spoke off camera, maintaining professionalism during filming, then avoiding each other completely. Years later, both admitted the affair in interviews, but they told different stories. Henner claimed Danza used her. Danza claimed Henner was clingy. The truth died with their relationship, leaving only the wreckage behind. Number 17. Jeff Conaway was high. During most of season 3,
It's really great to have a sense of humor, you know? I'm afraid the joke is over.
Jeff Conaway arrived on Taxi, fresh from Greece, playing Bobby Wheeler, a struggling actor driving cabs between auditions. He was handsome, talented, and completely addicted to cocaine. At first, Conaway hit it well, showing up on time, knowing his lines, delivering performances that charmed audiences. But by season 3, his addiction spiraled out of control. He disappeared during lunch breaks, returning with dilated pupils and manic energy. He'd forget blocking, stumble over simple lines, and need 20 takes for scenes that should have required one. Cast members noticed immediately. Danny DeVito confronted him directly, telling Conaway to get help or get out. Conaway promised to clean up, then showed up high the next day. Judd Hirsch tried a gentler approach, offering to connect Conaway with therapists. Conaway thanked him, then never made an appointment. Marilu Henner avoided him entirely, uncomfortable watching someone self-destruct. Producers faced an impossible choice: fire Conaway and disrupt the show's chemistry, or enable his addiction by looking the other way. They chose enablement, covering for him, rewriting scripts to minimize his scenes on bad days, and praying he'd survive long enough to finish his contract. Conaway made it through season 3 barely, then entered rehab between seasons. He returned for season 4 claiming to be sober, but everyone knew it wouldn't last. It didn't. His addiction would chase him for decades, eventually killing him at 2011. But back in Taxi's heyday, everyone just pretended not to notice the man dying in front of them. Number 16. Danny DeVito's violent temper got him banned from post-production. Danny DeVito's Louis De Palma was television's greatest monster, a cruel, petty tyrant who ruled the Taxi garage with insults and manipulation. DeVito played him perfectly because he channeled real anger, rage that existed long before Taxi. DeVito came from a rough New Jersey background, fought his way through theater, and carried a chip on his shoulder about his height, his looks, his perception that Hollywood looked down on him. That rage made Louis iconic, but it also made DeVito dangerous. During filming, DeVito would explode at crew members over minor mistakes. A misplaced prop, a lighting issue, a sound problem. Any imperfection would trigger screaming tirades that terrified everyone. He'd throw scripts, kick equipment, and once allegedly shoved a production assistant who'd accidentally stepped in his eyeline. After one particularly violent outburst in season 2, where DeVito destroyed a cameraman's equipment, producers banned him from post-production facilities. They couldn't risk him attacking editors or sound mixers. DeVito was furious, feeling his artistic input was being censored, but the ban stayed in place for the rest of the series. Cast members walked on eggshells around him. Christopher Lloyd developed a technique of agreeing with everything DeVito said, to avoid confrontation. Tony Danza just stayed away. Judd Hirsch was one of the few who'd stand up to DeVito, leading to explosive arguments that cleared the set. But here's the twisted truth. DeVito's rage made him brilliant. His anger fueled Louis' cruelty, creating one of sitcom's most memorable characters. The show needed DeVito's darkness, even if everyone hated working with it. Number 15. The show was filmed in a real former Taxi garage. Most sitcoms built sets on sound stages, fake environments designed to look real. Taxi took a different approach. Producers found an actual abandoned taxi garage in Los Angeles, a grimy, cramped space that had housed real cabs and real drivers for decades. They cleaned it minimally, installed lighting and camera equipment, and turned it into the Sunshine Cab Company. The authenticity was undeniable. The garage smelled like oil and exhaust. The walls had authentic water damage and peeling paint. The dispatcher's cage was genuinely claustrophobic, but filming in a real location created nightmares. The building had no climate control, so summer shoots were sweltering, winter tapings freezing. The acoustics were terrible, requiring extensive sound engineering to capture dialogue. The space was too small for large camera crews, forcing technicians to work in cramped, dangerous conditions. Rodents infested the building, leading to numerous shooting delays when rats would scurry across the set during tapings. One famous incident involved a rat running between Danny DeVito's legs during a scene, causing him to break character and scream. They kept the take because his genuine terror was hilarious. The live studio audience sat in rickety bleachers that failed safety inspections multiple times. Insurance companies threatened to pull coverage unless the space was upgraded. Producers refused, arguing the authenticity was worth the risk. By season 4, they'd made enough money to build a proper soundstage replica, but by then, the damage was done. Actors had developed respiratory issues from poor air quality, crew members had been injured in the cramped space, and everyone was exhausted from fighting the location every single day. Number 14. ABC canceled the show. Despite winning, Emmys, Taxi dominated the Emmys in its early years. Best Comedy Series in 1979, 80, and 81. Acting awards for Judd Hirsch, Danny DeVito, and Kane. Writing and directing Emmys stacked up like trophies in a case. Critics worshipped it, calling Taxi the smartest, most humane comedy on television. And ABC canceled it anyway after 4 seasons. The reason was simple: ratings. Taxi never cracked the top 20 shows, consistently losing to sitcoms the Emmys ignored. ABC executives didn't care about critical acclaim or awards. They cared about advertising revenue, and Taxi wasn't delivering enough eyeballs to justify its budget. The cast was devastated. They'd won every award that mattered, earned respect from peers, and created something genuinely special. None of it mattered to the network. Judd Hirsch gave an interview calling ABC artistically bankrupt, which got him blacklisted from ABC Productions for years. Danny DeVito publicly said the network executives were too stupid to recognize quality, burning bridges he'd never rebuild. The cancellation seemed final. Cast members started taking other jobs. Writers moved to different shows. Then something unexpected happened. NBC, ABC's rival network, smelled opportunity. They'd watched Taxi win Emmys while ABC complained about ratings and made a calculated bet. Prestige matters, and Taxi had it. NBC swooped in, offering to pick up Taxi for a 5th season with a bigger budget and better time slot. The cast reassembled, shocked to get a second life, but the damage was done. The cancellation had broken something in the show's spirit, and it would never quite recover. Number 13. Christopher Lloyd method. Acted his way into a breakdown. Christopher Lloyd's Reverend Jim Ignatowski started as a 1-episode guest character, a burned-out hippie who'd fried his brain on drugs in the 60s. Lloyd played him with such committed weirdness, such lived-in damage, that producers made him a regular. But Lloyd's approach to the character was dangerous. He used method acting techniques, staying in character between takes, maintaining Jim's spaced-out mental state for entire shooting days. Lloyd believed truly inhabiting Jim's broken mind would create authentic performance. It did, but at enormous personal cost. Lloyd stopped socializing with cast members, drifting through rehearsals in a fog. He'd forget conversations, miss cues, and seem genuinely confused by simple directions. At first, people thought it was commitment to character. Then they realized Lloyd was losing himself. The line between Christopher Lloyd and Reverend Jim was dissolving. His wife noticed changes at home. Lloyd would stare blankly at walls, struggle to complete sentences, seem detached from reality. She begged him to drop the method approach, to separate work from life. Lloyd refused, insisting the character demanded total immersion. By season 3, Lloyd had a breakdown. He showed up to a taping unable to remember his own name, convinced he actually was Reverend Jim. Producers sent him home, contacted his family, and mandated therapy before he could return. Lloyd recovered, came back, but never method acted Jim again. He'd learned the hard way that playing a damaged mind can damage your own. Years later, Lloyd admitted those Taxi years were the darkest of his life, that he'd voluntarily driven himself toward insanity for a sitcom role. Number 12, Carol Kane, was hired to save the show and hated every minute. When Taxi moved to NBC for season 5, executives demanded changes. The show felt stale, they said, needed fresh energy, a new dynamic. So producers created Simca Doblitz, Latka's equally weird girlfriend turned wife, and cast Carol Kane, a respected film actress who had earned an Oscar nomination for Hester Street. Kane took the role for money and immediately regretted it. She'd built a career on serious dramatic work and suddenly found herself playing a cartoon character, screaming in a fake accent, delivering jokes she found insulting to her intelligence. Kane clashed with Andy Kaufman constantly. Kaufman improvised wildly, changing scenes without warning, making Kane look unprepared. She'd rehearse meticulously. Then Kaufman would do something completely different during taping, forcing her to react on the fly. Kane felt disrespected, ambushed, and used as a prop in Kaufman's performance art. She complained to producers, who sided with Kaufman, telling Kane to be more flexible. Kane considered quitting multiple times, but was locked into a contract. So she stayed, delivering professional performances while dying inside. Her Simca won an Emmy in 1983, which Kane later called the most meaningless award I've ever received. She refused to celebrate, viewing the win as confirmation that Hollywood valued broad comedy over serious acting. When Taxi was canceled after season 5, Kane disappeared from television for years, returning to theater and independent films where she could do real work. In interviews decades later, Kane still speaks about Taxi with barely concealed contempt, calling it a paycheck and nothing more. Number 11. Andy Kaufman stopped showing up sober after season 2. Andy Kaufman viewed Taxi as a prison sentence, a mainstream sitcom gig that paid well but compromised his artistic integrity. He'd show up to tapings visibly miserable, treating the work like torture he had to endure. By season 3, Kaufman stopped even pretending to care. He'd arrive drunk or high, sometimes both, stumbling through scenes with glazed eyes and slurred speech. Producers would smell alcohol on his breath during afternoon tapings. Crew members watched him pop pills between takes. Nobody confronted him because Kaufman was too valuable, too unique. You couldn't replace Latka because no one else could do what Kaufman did. So they enabled him, working around his condition, shooting his scenes early before he got too intoxicated, keeping him away from the live audience when he was too far gone. The other cast members had mixed reactions. Judd Hirsch was disgusted, seeing Kaufman's behavior as unprofessional and disrespectful to everyone else. Danny DeVito found it darkly funny, appreciating the chaos Kaufman brought even in his deterioration. Tony Danza just stayed out of it, focusing on his own work. Christopher Lloyd understood, recognizing a fellow artist drowning in commercial compromise. Kaufman's substance abuse escalated until he barely functioned, doing the bare minimum to fulfill his contract. When Taxi was canceled, Kaufman celebrated publicly, telling reporters he was finally free. He'd hated every minute, and everyone knew it. Number 10. The show's creator based it on his own failed life. James L. Brooks didn't create Taxi from imagination. He created it from humiliation. Before becoming a successful television writer, Brooks spent years in Los Angeles chasing dreams that never materialized. He worked degrading jobs, lived in cheap apartments, and watched friends succeed while he struggled. The garage full of failed dreamers wasn't fiction. It was his life. Alex, the failed lawyer, Elaine, the struggling artist, Bobby, the rejected actor, even Louis, the bitter dispatcher. All were composites of people Brooks knew or had been. The show's melancholy undercurrent, that sadness beneath the jokes about people whose lives didn't turn out as planned, came from genuine pain. Brooks poured his disappointments into Taxi, creating characters trapped in limbo between who they wanted to be and who they'd become. Network executives initially rejected the premise as too depressing, arguing audiences wanted escapism, not reminders of their own failures. Brooks refused to compromise, insisting the sadness made the comedy meaningful. He was right. Taxi resonated because it told the truth about broken dreams, while still finding reasons to laugh. But Brooks never fully escaped the bitterness that inspired it. Success didn't erase his years of failure. It just gave him a platform to dramatize them for millions of viewers every week. Number 9. NBC almost replaced Judd Hirsch with a younger actor. When NBC picked up Taxi for season 5, executives saw an opportunity to fix what ABC had broken. Their diagnosis? Judd Hirsch was too old, too serious. killing the show's energy. They wanted someone younger, hipper, more appealing to the demographic advertisers craved. Secretly, they approached several actors, offering them the Alex Riger role if they'd replace Hirsch. The plan was to write Hirsch out in the season premiere, introduce a new lead character, and pretend nothing happened. Hirsch discovered the scheme when an actor friend called to warn him NBC had made an offer. Furious, Hirsch confronted producers, threatening legal action and public scandal. He had a contract, he argued, and NBC was violating it. Producers were caught, forced to choose between their star and network pressure. They sided with Hirsch, telling NBC to back off or lose the entire cast. The network relented, but the damage was irreversible. Hirsch spent season 5 knowing he'd nearly been replaced, that NBC viewed him as disposable. His performances that season carry a darkness that wasn't there before. Alex seeming more defeated, more exhausted. Because Hirsch was defeated and exhausted, fighting to keep a job that didn't want him while pretending everything was fine. Number 8. The live audience hated Andy Kaufman and demanded refunds. Andy Kaufman's avant-garde comedy genius translated beautifully on television, edited and polished into digestible chunks. In front of live studio audiences, it was unwatchable torture. Kaufman would improvise endlessly, doing the same bit 20 times until he found something he liked. He'd break character, argue with directors, or perform completely unrelated material that had nothing to do with Taxi. Audiences came expecting a sitcom taping, not performance art. They'd sit for hours watching Kaufman derail scenes, confuse his castmates, and waste everyone's time. Many walked out. Others demanded refunds, claiming they'd been tricked into attending an experimental theater piece instead of a comedy show. The production company received so many complaints, they eventually stopped allowing audiences during Kaufman-heavy episodes, filming them in a closed set to avoid the chaos. This created new problems. Without live laughter, editors had to add laugh tracks, making Latka scenes feel artificially enhanced compared to genuinely audience-reacted moments. Cast members noticed the difference, knowing Kaufman's scenes were fabricated while theirs were real. It fed resentment toward Kaufman, who already alienated everyone with his substance abuse and unprofessionalism. Kaufman didn't care. He viewed audience discomfort as success, proof he was challenging conventions and refusing to give people what they expected. Number 7. Marilu Henner was written out. Because she demanded equal pay, Marilu Henner's Elaine was Taxi's only main female character for most of its run. Yet she was paid significantly less than her male co-stars. By season 4, Henner had enough. She demanded equal pay, arguing that carrying the female perspective of the show warranted compensation matching Tony Danza or Jeff Conaway. Producers refused, claiming market rates justified the disparity. Henner hired an attorney, threatened legal action, and made her demands public in interviews, embarrassing the production. The response was swift and brutal. Writers reduced Elaine's screen time dramatically in season 5, sidelining her character to punish Henner's activism. She went from central player to occasional presence, watching her role dissolve while male characters expanded. It was retaliation disguised as creative choice. Henner fought back, giving interviews about pay inequality in Hollywood, becoming an early voice for equal compensation. But speaking out cost her. After Taxi ended, she struggled to find work, with casting directors labeling her difficult and litigious. The message was clear: demanding fairness meant career suicide. Henner eventually found success in other projects, but Taxi taught her a hard lesson about Hollywood's gender economics. Being right didn't matter, power did, and she didn't have it. Number 6. The show's budget collapsed in the final season. NBC rescued Taxi from cancellation, but didn't rescue its budget. Season 5 operated on a shoestring, with money so tight that scripts were written around financial limitations. Wanted an outdoor scene? Too expensive? Rewrite it for the garage. Needed a guest star? Can't afford it. Use a regular instead. The garage set, already shabby, wasn't maintained or repaired. Paint peeled visibly on camera. Equipment broke and wasn't replaced. The costume budget disappeared entirely, forcing actors to wear the same outfits repeatedly or bring clothes from home. Scripts that required props beyond basics were rejected. Writers wanted to send characters on a road trip? Impossible. The budget didn't allow location shooting. Everything happened in that cramped garage because that's all they could afford to light and film. Cast members noticed the decline, joking bitterly about working on the poorest show on television. Danny DeVito complained his costume was literally falling apart, held together with safety pins and hope. The final episodes look noticeably cheaper than early seasons, a visual reminder that NBC's rescue was more about prestige than investment. They wanted the Emmy-winning show on their network, but they didn't want to pay for it. Taxi limped through season 5 on fumes and desperation, everyone knowing it couldn't survive another year, even if ratings had supported it. Number 5. Jeff Conaway's firing was covered up as creative differences. The official story is Jeff Conaway left Taxi after season 3 for creative differences, wanting to pursue other opportunities. That's a lie. He was fired for being unemployable, so deep in cocaine addiction that insurance companies refused to cover him. Productions couldn't risk Conaway showing up too high to function or not showing up at all. The final straw came during a season 3 taping, when Conaway collapsed in his dressing room, overdosing on cocaine. Paramedics were called quietly, crew members sworn to secrecy, and Conaway was revived before anyone outside the production learned what happened. Producers realized they couldn't keep covering for him, couldn't keep risking lives and production schedules to enable his addiction. They fired him immediately after season 3 wrapped, paying out his contract in exchange for silence about the real reasons. The creative differences story was fabricated to protect both Conaway's reputation and the show's image. Nobody wanted headlines about sitcom stars nearly dying from drug overdoses on set. Conaway went to rehab, got somewhat clean, then relapsed repeatedly for the next 3 decades. He never worked regularly again, bouncing between failed comebacks and deeper addiction. When he died in 2011 from complications related to decades of drug abuse, Taxi colleagues expressed sadness publicly while privately admitting they'd expected it, had been expecting it since that day he collapsed in his dressing room in 1981. Number 4. Danny DeVito became a star and abandoned everyone. Taxi made Danny DeVito a household name. His Louis De Palma was so memorable, so perfectly villainous, that Hollywood came calling with film offers. DeVito started doing movies between Taxi seasons, building a parallel career. Then Romancing the Stone hit in 1984, making DeVito a movie star, and everything changed. He stopped caring about Taxi entirely, treating it as an annoying obligation that interfered with his real career. He'd show up to tapings unprepared, blow through scenes without effort, and leave immediately after filming without speaking to anyone. The ensemble that had supported him, that had tolerated his violent temper and difficult personality, meant nothing once he had bigger opportunities. Cast members felt abandoned. They'd been a family, they thought, struggling together to make great television. But DeVito saw it differently. Taxi was a stepping stone, and he'd stepped. When the show ended, DeVito didn't stay in touch with anyone, didn't attend reunion events, didn't help former castmates who struggled to find work after Taxi. He built a massive film career, while the people who had helped him get there faded into obscurity. Years later, in rare interviews about Taxi, DeVito speaks fondly about the experience. But his former co-stars tell different stories about a man who used them, discarded them, and never looked back. Number 3. The show's heartwarming reputation is completely false. Television historians remember Taxi as a warm, humanistic comedy about lovable misfits supporting each other through life's struggles. People who actually worked on it remember something else entirely. A toxic workplace filled with addiction, affairs, violence, and mutual contempt. The gap between Taxi's reputation and reality is staggering. Yes, the scripts were beautifully written, capturing real human vulnerability. But those scripts were created by writers who hated each other, performed by actors who barely spoke off camera, and produced in an environment of constant chaos. The family atmosphere was manufactured for promotional materials and interviews. The truth was uglier. Andy Kaufman hated being there. Jeff Conaway was destroying himself with drugs. Judd Hirsch held the show hostage annually. Danny DeVito terrorized crew members. Tony Danza and Marilu Henner's affair poisoned their working relationship. Christopher Lloyd had a breakdown. The show that supposedly celebrated human connection was made by people who couldn't connect at all. But here's the darkest secret: the dysfunction made it better. The sadness in Alex's eyes when he comforted someone wasn't acting. Hirsch was genuinely exhausted. Louis' cruelty felt real because DeVito's anger was real. The show worked because everyone channeled their misery into performance, creating art from dysfunction. The Taxi wasn't heartwarming, it was heartbreaking, and that made it unforgettable. Number 2. The finale ended on a cliffhanger. Nobody Resolved. Taxi's series finale, which aired on June 15, 1983, wasn't written as a finale. NBC hadn't decided whether to renew for season 6, so the last episode was written as a season ender, leaving storylines unresolved and characters' fates uncertain. When NBC finally announced cancellation weeks after filming wrapped, it was too late to create proper closure. The finale shows Alex contemplating leaving the garage for a better job, unsure whether to move forward or stay stuck. It ends ambiguously, Alex torn between safety and risk, past and future. Then it just stops. No resolution, no goodbye, just uncertainty frozen in time forever. Fans were furious, demanding to know what Alex decided, what happened to everyone. The network didn't care. Cast members were scattered, moved on to other projects, unavailable for reshoots. Writers proposed a TV movie to provide closure. NBC rejected it, seeing no profit in revisiting a canceled show. So Taxi's characters exist forever in limbo, trapped in that garage. Alex forever deciding, never moving. It's accidentally perfect thematically. A show about people stuck in unfulfilled lives ended stuck itself, unable to move forward, unable to escape. The finale everyone hated became the most honest ending possible. Nothing was resolved because real life rarely resolves. People just keep driving in circles, hoping someday they'll find the courage to stop. Number 1. The cast still hates each other, decades later. Most classic sitcoms eventually reunite. Friends did it, Cheers did it. Even dysfunctional casts find ways to come together for nostalgia and money. Taxi never has and never will. The hatred runs too deep, the wounds too permanent. Judd Hirsch gives interviews where he refuses to even mention Danny DeVito by name, referring to him as that person with undisguised contempt. DeVito returns the favor, dismissing Hirsch as bitter and jealous of my success. Marilu Henner won't appear on panels with Tony Danza, still furious about their affair decades later. Christopher Lloyd avoids all Taxi discussions, the experience too traumatic to revisit. Andy Kaufman died in 1984, taking his secrets with him. But those who knew him said he'd have refused any reunion anyway. Multiple attempts have been made to organize cast gatherings. Everyone has failed. Someone always refuses, usually multiple someones, making it impossible. The closest they came was a partial reunion in 2001, with 3 cast members appearing together. The others boycotted, and those who showed up spent the event throwing subtle verbal jabs at absent colleagues. Taxi created great television, but destroyed relationships permanently. It's a monument to the cost of art, proof that sometimes what looks beautiful on screen requires ugly sacrifices behind it. The show that was supposedly about human connection left a cast so disconnected they can't even fake reunion for money. That's the real Taxi legacy. Brilliant work built on permanent damage. The Taxi looked like family, but ran on secrets, addiction, and barely controlled chaos. 5 seasons of heart hid affairs, violence, and people too broken to fix each other or themselves. Smash that, like, hit subscribe, and tell us which secret hit hardest. Because sometimes the saddest truth is this: the show about people stuck in one place left everyone who made it just as trapped, unable to move forward, unable to escape what they'd survived together.